In this video, we'll be hunting 2 boxes of pennies. We'll be looking for any wheat scents, proofs, foreigns, heirs or varieties, or any other cool things we can find. We do have one ender in box number 1, roll 48. We do have a reverse facing wheat scent ender, so we'll see what that is when we get to that roll. Otherwise, let's start the hunt, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Roll 4, and we have the first wheat scent besides the ender. It's right here. Doesn't look like it's going to be too old, probably from the 50s. Yep, and it's a 1956 out of Denver. Roll 21, and we finally have another find, and it's the second wheat scent of the hunt, and it's a 1946 from Denver. Roll 22, and of course I failed at opening the roll, but it exposed our third wheat scent and the first foreign of the hunt. First foreign looks like it's going to be a Canadian, and it is, and it's going to be a 1998. And then wheat scent number 3 is going to be a 1945 out of Philly. Hopefully the box is heating up. Next roll, and we have our second foreign. It's going to be another one from Canada. Looks like it's going to be a little bit older than the last one, but not too old. And it's from 1983. Same roll, and I just uncovered a super old wheat scent. Don't think I've seen the date yet, but it's super worn, and it looks like it's from the teens. It's a 1914 Philly. Wow. Looks like it might have been cleaned at one point, but still, 1914 wheat scent. That's an amazing find. Roll 26, and I see the third Canadian and the fifth wheat scent. Canadian looks like it's probably going to be from the 80s. It's from the 90s. It's a 1995. And the wheat scent is right here. Doesn't look too old, and is a 1952 Denver. Same roll, and I don't know how I missed the edge, but we have another wheat scent, and this one looks pretty slick. Looks like it's going to be another old one. Let's see what it is. And it's a 1926 Philly. Now we have a teens and a 20s in the box. Hopefully we get some more oldies. Roll 29, and we're going to have yet another Canadian scent. This one is a 1986. Roll 38, and we had another dry streak after the middle of the box being so hot, but I just uncovered another wheat scent. And this one is a 1953, minted in San Francisco. Roll 40, it just opened the roll, and I see another Canadian scent right here. This one is a 1964, which means it's a young head. That's good find. Roll 46, and we have another Canadian. This one was one away from being an ender, and it's from 1977. Roll 48 is our wheat scent ender. Let's open it up and see if there's anything else inside. Just open the roll. Don't see anything else by the edges, but the wheat scent ender is a 1953 from Denver. That was all the finds for box number 1. We ended up getting 8 wheat scents, including a 1914 and a 1926, which are really good finds. And then we did get 6 Canadians. Let's go on to box number 2, and let's hope it's a good box. Roll 2 of box 2, and we're going to have the first wheat scent of this box, and it perfectly popped out in the back of the roll, and it's a 1957 out of Denver. Roll 4, and we're going to get the first foreign of box number 2. And based on the edge, it looks like it's going to be a Canadian. Ooh, and it's a commemorative Canadian. It's a 1967 bird scent. That's a good find. Roll number 9. Nice, and uncovered another wheat scent. This one is a 1944 out of San Francisco. Next roll, roll number 10. It looks like we're going to have another foreign. Based on this edge. And we do. It's a Canadian from 1976. Roll 18, and we're going to have another foreign. It's going to be another Canadian scent. It's from 1984. Roll 21, and we're going to have another wheat scent for this box. It's an offers facing 1955 out of Denver. And this one, a few coins behind it, looks kind of old too. And it's just a 1960, so I'll throw that into copper. Same roll, and we are going to have another wheat scent. It's this dark colored one right here. And it's a 1944 out of Philly. Roll 25, and we have another wheat scent. Just uncovered it. Looks pretty beat up. Pretty corroded. Hopefully that means it's old. Jeez. Might not be able to get a date on this one. I'll look at it under the scope and come back if I see anything. Don't think I'm going to be able to get a date on this wheat cent. Just all I can see is that it looks like it's going to have a mint mark, but not sure what the date is going to be. So, well, still a wheat cent though. Roll 27, and I just uncovered an old wheat cent. Haven't seen the date yet, but that definitely looks pretty slick and old. This is a 1919 wheat cent. Second teens of the hunt. Third pre-40s. That's an awesome find. Roll 30, and we have another Canadian. It's one away from being an ender. It's from 1995. Roll 31, and we have a Canadian and a wheat cent that are only a few coins apart. So we'll pull them out at the same time and see what they each are. Canadian is another 1995. Then the wheat cent is a 1941 out of Denver. Roll 33, and just uncovered another wheat cent. This one's another 1957 Denver. Next roll, and I see the edge of yet another wheat cent in the beginning of the roll. Let's see where it's from. It's a 1945 Philly. Roll 39, and we're going to have another wheat cent. A couple coins away from being an ender. This one is 1950 minted in San Francisco. Roll 42, and we're going to have another Canadian cent. This one is from 1986. Roll 48, and I just uncovered another wheat cent. And this one is a 1941 Philly. Roll 49, and I just uncovered another wheat cent, and the one behind it looks old as well. One I can see is a 1940. One behind it, wow, it's an oldie. It's a 1920. 1920 and a 1940 Philly, both right next to each other in roll 49. That's crazy. Both boxes have been hunted, so let's go over the finds. We ended up getting 10 1959s, 19 Esmints, and 31 2009s. Foreigns, we got 12, all were Canadian, including a 1964 Younghead and a 1967 Bird Cent. Wheat cents, we ended up getting 21, and we did get quite a few oldies, which were 1926, 1920, 1919, and 1914. All are common because they're from Philly, but still, any wheat cent pre-30s is a great find. And then one of the wheat cents, unfortunately, is so corroded that we couldn't get a date off it, but it's still a wheat cent. Copper, we did pretty well. We filled 75% of the jar, which is pretty good for 2 boxes. And overall, this was a great 2-box penny hunt.